I had no idea in the past that I would become so famous worldwide. Don't take bone by chance. Don't take too much bone if you don't need it. But once I was doing a procedure, and we realized before the surgery that the patient was missing completely the buccal wall. So that's my target for the future, to prepare the new generation, because the new generation will be in a spotlight in a couple of years. I did courses in more than 60 countries, 60 countries, but I'm feeling completely comfortable, not about the money that I am making, but how happy the patients are when I give to them this kind of structure and the outcomes together, put in the same package.
Добрый вечер, дорогие друзья. В эфире Dental подкаст. Меня зовут Дмитрий Илья, и по просьбе моего давнего друга и товарища Артура Карапетяна я сегодня возьму интервью у профессора José Carlos de Rosa, который приехал в Россию поводом для его приезда очередного, который стал уже третьим за последние 6 лет, является конгресс Regeneration Meeting 2025, в рамках которого он уже провел свой мастер-класс. И, соответственно, завтра стартует основная программа конгресса, где у нас пройдет достаточно живая дискуссия с участием José Carlos de Rosa, Бориса Бернацкого и приглашенных спикеров для того, чтобы мы вникли в сравнительную суть техник IDR, авторских техник IDR и B2S. José Carlos, welcome you. So, for us it's a pleasure to host you again in Russia. How do you feel yourself? So, how was your first impressions about the first day here during this visit?
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me to come here. My impression today was really fantastic. We had the opportunity to have the hands-on, and the level of the participants was quite high. How do I know? It's because of the level of the question that they questioned me. It was really good. So my first impression about my first day is really fantastic.
So that's really nice, and I think that the main reason is that during your cooperation with the Russian Dental Society, they know a lot already about your technique you are presenting. And the thing is that they were expecting your visit here. That's why many of them already read your book. And they prepared a lot of questions to you, because they were expecting your visit and to join your masterclass for a long time. For them, it was a good opportunity to receive all the questions, and you did it perfectly as usual. So let's start our interview. So as I said before, the main goal about this interview, we're going to present you to the Russian Dental Society, not only as a professional, and the author of the IDR technique, but also as a person. So, and the first question I'm going to ask you about this, can you tell us, because it's your third visit to Russia. So the first one, it was 2019, when it was the first IDR Congress organized by Boris Bernatsky and Anna Svir. So where you presented your technique to the Russian Society. So the second one visit, it was last year when you made election for MIS Congress.
Yes.
And this is your third visit. So my first question is going to be, for sure, that this all over the world, there is a lot of gossips about Russia, about Russian people, about Russian culture and everything. Do you remember, before your first visit to Russia, what kind of expectations and what kind of thoughts you had?
To tell you the truth, I had lots of expectation for the first time. I know since the beginning that people that came to us in the first event in 2019, most of them didn't know anything about the IDR technique, but we built in the last 6 years an IDR community in Russia. So that's my job with them, to let them know how does it work, to teach them in the most trustful way possible, and to make this community as big as possible, because we know that we are in the right way. We know that this technique is the best technique to offer for the patient in order to get the best outcomes possible in the management of intact and compromised sockets. So I'm very happy to be here again for the third time. And I hope I can increase the dental community, talk about this topic. So that's gonna be my goal in the next 2 days during the event.
Okay. So anyway, we will come back to the topic about your IDR technique and all these, like surgical stuff and like professional stuff. So it doesn't matter. But probably mostly at the moment, I'm asking you about the expectation about our country. That we are quite famous in the world around our culture, art, everything about this, like architecture and everything. So like, what was your first impressions you got after your first visit to Russia? Did they match your expectations before the first visit or not?
Yes, absolutely. I was surprised for the first time. It's because the architecture is really amazing. The way that the people received me, it was really good as well. So I got all the expectation, much more than I was expecting before I came for the first time. My first time to come here, it was really in Moscow. The second, it was in St. Petersburg. So this is my third time in Russia, my second time is Moscow. I hope to have much more time to enjoy all the city, because all the time that I came here, I was very busy. So the next time that you invited me, please invited me to stay a little bit longer in order to enjoy all this town, because I know that this town is really unique. Moscow is unique, not only about the architecture, but it's about everything related to the food, related to all the culture, and the heritage itself. It's really amazing. So I want to come back maybe someday to have maybe another event like this, or for some course here all around Russia.
Okay. So that this is quite often, and I spoke a lot with different speakers who are quite famous in the world, and you all have the same problem about this. But like, you were in every city, but mostly they saw all these cities just on the way from the airport to the venue and back. So nothing.
It's almost the same as me.
Yeah, so I think that it's necessary for us also to take care about you when we invite you to left some time gap for you to join the city, to have a rest, to look around at least. So because it's going to change the impressions from your visit completely.
This is what I hope. Next time,
yeah,
I would stay a little bit longer, and maybe to bring my family with me in order to enjoy around this town.
Yeah, good. I will keep it in my mind.
Yeah, keep in mind.
Yes, before to invite you next time to Russia. So my next question is going to be, so as you remember, the first group, in general, the first group which came from Russia, Russian group, completely Russian group, which came to Brazil, this group came to your clinic. We bring it to you.
My training center.
Yes, so it was the first one and only time. And the thing is, like, since that time, we have already brought like 3 or 4 groups to Caxias do Sul.
Yeah, almost 100 people.
Yeah, good. I really like that you count everybody and all the group about this. And the thing is that people who came at the first and the next groups, they were really impressed about your clinic in Caxias do Sul. Can you tell us about the story of this clinic? So, which goals you try to reach in this clinic? Which ideas you try to realize the best about this? Because honestly, this is one of the biggest and the greatest clinic I saw in my life. And Caxias do Sul is quite far, for example, from such a kind of big cities like São Paulo or Rio de Janeiro. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, your clinic, like, this is like a diamond in the middle of this like not so like big and huge city. So what was, I will repeat the question. So what was your main goal and which ideas you tried to realize when you were building this clinic?
Let me tell this story. When I first decided to build this building, I decided to build not only the most beautiful clinic in Brazil or things like this. I wasn't interested in things like this, but I was interested in to give the patient the best structure ever. What does it mean? To offer to the patient, because my clinic is a day hospital and I can do procedures under local anesthesia, sedation, and general anesthesia. So I can give to them the opportunity to have the surgery, because I know that they are a little bit worried about the surgery itself, but some of them I can put them sleeping like an angel because I have a surgical center that I can do this. It's not everywhere that we can do general anesthesia and sedation. So patients will feel much more comfortable when we do my procedures under general anesthesia or sedation. Every patient that comes to me, when they come for the second time for the revision of the surgery, they usually said to me, José Carlos, I'm very happy what you did with me. And I always ask the same question, why you are so happy? Because I didn't see anything, I didn't hear anything, and you performed the best procedure ever. So that's why I was trying to build the new way of thinking about the structure like this. We are not talking about Disneyland. This was not my profile, but to give to the patient the best treatment ever, for sure, but to give to them all the possibilities, all the alternatives that they can take the final decision if they decided to take this procedure under local, sedation, or general anesthesia. So that's their responsibility, not mine. But I will offer to them, as I have this structure, this is completely different, in order to allow them to have this kind of procedure without seeing anything. It changed completely the scenario. I've been receiving patients from everywhere, every border of Brazil, and some patients that come from abroad. So I'm very happy. This is a kind of huge investment, but I'm feeling completely comfortable. Not about the money that I am making, but how happy the patients are when I give to them this kind of structure and the outcomes together, put in the same package.
Like, yeah, I can say for sure that it looks amazing, and this is like your castle, which you built with a huge area where everything is on the place, and everything is like logistics, the location, the area is perfect. So yeah. This and that
some patients
training center impressed me. When you sent me just a video before the first time, it impressed me a lot. So, but I was like curious about this, why Caxias do Sul? So, but I think that the answer is about this, that if you are top one, doesn't matter what is your location, the people are coming to you, and for sure it's not a problem.
They would come from everywhere, because I do my best, for sure, every day. I love what I do. And I perform not only surgery, but I also perform prosthetic procedure as well. But talk about the training center. I did courses in more than 60 countries, 60 countries. So every course that I gave in the past, I was looking for the best one in order to build the new one completely different, much better than the previous one. So I'm very happy about this, because the structure that I offer for the participant, for the students, is really amazing. This is what I'm not saying. They usually say when they come to me, because we can offer comfortable seats, we can offer a structure that they can see the procedure in front of them. I have like an aquarium in front of the auditorium in order to perform live surgeries. So this is my daily routine. I love what I do, not only when I'm a dentist, but also when I'm a teacher.
Yeah, yeah. So it's really nice. Okay, let's speak a little bit about your professional professional life and everything about this. So like, you know that like usually I heard, and also like currently I have a lot of knowns, quite famous guys here in Russia who are good surgeons, and all of them are saying to me that like at the beginning they had like the main teacher they had in their life, or some kind of like idol. It doesn't matter that they know each other or they have a contact in person, but the person who inspired them. Did you have somebody like this?
Yes, I have many. I have a couple of that. Unfortunately, they have passed away. The old generation. They inspire me a lot, but I still have some good speakers that is still inspiring me to be different. Because participants, when they come to us, our job is to make them happy and to make them motivated and to give to them a kind of inspiration in order to carry on this project. Because I know that in a couple of years, we are going to leave the stage. But what's our target? To leave somebody else in our place. So that's my target for the future. To prepare the new generation, because the new generation will be in the spotlight in a couple of years. So that's my goal.
But can you call probably a couple of names? So if it was a...
I would say nowadays, Istvan Urban, Giovanni Zucchelli, Sasha Jovanovic, and many others. Luca Di Stavola from Italy as well, Marcos Usler. I am a very fan of these guys because these guys built a very nice history in order to carry on and to teach much more people, as many people as possible, and to build their careers, to build their business, and to build the new generation. So this is what I love those people, because they are very strong in order to carry on teaching in the best way possible.
I think it's time to speak a bit about the IDR technique.
Oh, nice.
Can you please...
Would love that.
Everybody knows this technique, so we are not going to speak about the, you know,
the technique itself.
Technique itself, yeah. Can you please tell to our viewers, to our listeners, how this technique was born? What was the beginning point you start from?
I have a very nice story to share with them. Before I developed this technique, I had been using this technique for such a long time, an intact socket, using this kind of graft harvest from the maxillary tuberosity as a bone filler only. But once I was doing a procedure, and we realized before the surgery that the patient was missing completely the buccal wall. And as we were extremely fond of this kind of bone from the maxillary tuberosity, we start applying the first clinical case. To tell you the truth, 1 week after the procedure was done, I saw the patient and I realized, oh my gosh, what's the best result that I did? And I was impressed about the result and tried to push a little bit more and to cross the border and to go one step further and to indicate this kind of procedure for such a more challenging clinical case. And I went the step by step in order to build a very nice protocol. What I recommend for the beginners, you must follow the protocol that we developed almost 20 years ago. And we still are using almost the same protocol. So I'm very happy about that, not only because I developed this technique, but I'm happy because one simple reason. If you ask me, what's my target in order to spread the news like this, to teach as many people as possible all around the world? My mission is not to reach the dentists. My mission is to reach the patients, because the most benefit is not for the dentist. For sure, the dentist will feel much happier because the outcome is much better. But at the end, as soon as they perform the surgery in the patient's mouth, patient will be much happier. So that's my goal when I'm here, to share my knowledge, to share my experience with the participants. And tomorrow, we are going to start this very nice event. So I'm very happy to share with them, but I know that they will start using this technique next Monday. And to realize, first they will realize that it works for those guys that never came before. And after that, they will start applying this technique in the following day. And they will see the outcomes, and everybody will be happy. The participants, the dentist itself, and especially the patients. So that's my mission.
Yeah, it sounds really nice. So, and like with that story you told us, it looks like it was like an accidental miracle, like you got. Like, but you know, everything began like this. Everything began
like this. Yeah, you were right.
Yeah. So, like, can you please, for the people, for listeners who knows not too much about the IDR technique, what is the core advantages of this technique?
Very nice question. I think the main advantages of this technique is to perform a surgery either in intact or compromised sockets without opening any flap. This is a minimally invasive procedure that we apply dental extraction, implant installation, provisional crown fabrication, always, and to perform the bone reconstruction at the same time without opening flap. If you ask me, it makes lots of difference in the outcomes when we don't open a flap, and we apply this technique in every from the simplest clinical case to the most complex one. It can be applied when it's missing one wall, two walls, three walls, or all walls around the condemned tooth, in combination or not with gingival recession and papillary loss. That it made lots of difference, not only for me, for the patient, and also from the literature, because we are talking about a very different way to manage compromised sockets according what the literature has described to us for such a long time. So we are thinking completely differently, talk about what the literature has shown to us for many years. So that's our goal, to write and to deliver for the scientific community as many articles as possible. We have already published 35 articles about this topic. We wrote a book about this topic, and we are thinking in the next step.
So, continuing this topic, let's speak a bit about your book, because due to my experience, I spoke a lot with different speakers, world known, so about how the things are going. And my opinion about this is that, like, it's very difficult and very rare situation when one person can combine inside himself to be a good surgeon, to be a good speaker, and also, this is another kind of stuff, to be a good author, because to write a book, this is some kind of other art. Can you please tell us about this kind of experience? If it was difficult for you or not, because I think that everybody knows already that the second edition of your book has already issued, and last year, 2024, it was the second about the sales worldwide from Quintessence Publishing.
Yes, I'm very happy about that.
Can you please tell us the story about this, like if it was difficult for you to write a book, this first edition, or not, or maybe probably it was some kind of other experience for you, new one, and if it was the second book, the second edition to write easier than the first one.
Every single step in our life, when we go one step further, is difficult. When I decided to write a book, I was a dentist. I had no idea in the past that I would become so famous worldwide. That wasn't my expectation for the future. But suddenly, when I developed this technique, I realized I should spread the news. How to spread the news? First of all, I need to develop the protocol, very strict protocol. Then, when I finish the protocol, I develop the protocol, what's gonna be my next step? My next step is gonna be to write a book. Because how to spread the news, how to spread this technique if you don't write anything about this? So that was my very demanding job. I could not expect to have such a very tough job. To write a book is not easy. It's really difficult. It demands lots of time and energy that comes from your shoulders. So we decided to write a book. The first edition was launched in 2010, if I'm not mistaken. And last year, as you said before, our second edition was launched in English language. The second edition was completely updated with new information, lots new protocols, and lots of new clinical cases inside the book. And to spread much more the news, we need to publish papers, and we focus on that. If you ask me, how was in the last 15 years in your life? I dedicate part of my life in this project. I think in this project every single day. I focus on kind of reading new papers, or I'm always focused on reading my new papers about this topic. Now, I've just submitted 3 new articles that's gonna come very soon. So I'm always involved with this project to make it bigger and to reach as many people as possible. When I say many people, it's many dentists as possible worldwide. So if you ask me, this is a good, easy job? No, it's a very difficult job. To be outside of my town, out of my family, this is the worst part of this job.
Till that time, so our interview looks like we're speaking about some fairy tale about this, but let's make one step to some dark side about this. You know that, and everybody knows that every technique has its advantages and its disadvantages. During the usage of the technique, any kind of technique, you can receive complications. So, what complications people are able to receive with the IDR technique, and what did you do when you met this complication for the first time in your life? How did you manage this?
A good question. For sure, we had, in the beginning of the developing process of the IDR protocol, we had some complications. But if we consider the number of the clinical cases that I have already applied, the success rate nowadays is it's almost 98% of the case. This is not so easy to reach it. But the complications that we had in the past, as I am a periodontist, I know how to manage this. I know what's the main focus of our needs. And for example, I had tissue shrinkage, I have bone sequestration, I had loss of implants, and most of the cases the complications that we had is described inside my book. Inside my book, I described the complications and how we manage the complications. But we've been working in the last 10 years with a few cases that we have complications. Do you know why? Because I still following a very strict protocol. What I recommend for the beginners and for those colleagues that intend to follow the IDR technique, don't start with complex case. Start with the most simplest clinical case ever. And then, as soon as the success rate increases like this, step by step, you can go from the most simplest one to the most complex one. What does it mean, the most complex one? For example, nowadays, this technique can be treated, not only for cases that's missing one wall or all walls around the condemned tooth. So we are able to perform the 3D bone reconstruction, to put the implant inside the bone grafted, and to get very good implant primary stabilization, and to make the provisional restoration. In the beginning, we had no idea that in the future we could do something like this. That's I'm still very enthusiastic about this project, because it seems that never ends. If you ask me, and during the event, I'm going to focus on what are the limitations of the technique. To tell you the truth, we are still looking for the limitations, because we reached the borders of every clinical case, very complex. We reached the outcome, very good outcome. So that's my job, to share with the audience since tomorrow and the following day the new perspective on the IDR technique. What's going to be the future of the IDR technique? I'm very excited about this.
Yes, so another one question about this. Is it possible that the donor site you're going to use, the tuberosity, can restore itself after some time?
This is a fantastic question. We've been working with, keep an eye on this kind of scenario for more than 10 years. And what we learned in the last 10 years, when we are conservative of bone graft harvesting, and when we take the bone only according to our needs, not to take too much, that means if you are able to leave in the posterior zone at the tuberosity site a kind of bone bridge, you may have much more bone in a couple of months after the surgery. How many months we can come back to the same donor site? After 3 or 4 months, we have the bone completely remodeled, preserved, and we can take bone from the same donor site for another indications in the patient's mouth. If we need, the bone is gonna be there just waiting for us. That's why I recommend you, don't take bone by chance. Don't take too much bone if you don't need it. Try to be conservative. Try to keep some bone around the tuberosity, especially if you are able to leave like a bone bridge behind the last tooth. When I say behind the last tooth, can be behind the second molar or behind the wisdom tooth, doesn't matter. Try to be conservative. Don't take too much. Only according to your needs. This is what we learned in the last 10 years, and we are still learning.
So this is the way of life is gonna be. That it is.
It never ends, the learning process. Thanks God.
The thing is that my next question is going to be that you're supposed to, during the upcoming event, to be on the stage together with a quite well-known specialist in Russia, Boris Bernatsky, who is going to tell to participants about his B2S technique. So you are following quite straight protocol. His protocol is like a little bit more flexible about this. So what did you heard about this technique? What is your opinion about this? I think that it's going to be interesting for the listeners.
I would say that the most interesting thing is that in this event, we are going to focus on only one donor site. This is the only one event that happened worldwide about this, because every speaker will talk about the tuberosity area donor site, as a donor site. So every single approach, doesn't matter if you open the flap or if you don't open the flap, if you follow the protocol that we develop, it will work. But we are not, in this event, talk about which one is better. No, we are not focused on that. But we are going to be focused in how powerful is this donor site harvest from the maxillary tuberosity that can be works in scenarios that we don't open the flap or if you open a flap. This is what I'm so enthusiastic about this event, because we are going to focus on maxillary tuberosity donor site only.
Another one question. So have you ever tried during your routine this technique B2S or never? You are following just your protocol and your technique and you don't use any others?
I would say that I've been using maxillary tuberous donor site for healed site for such a long time, more than 15 years. This is my first choice, my first preference in the management of healed site. For sure, in compromised socket right after we perform the tooth extraction, I would prefer, because I have lots of experience in management of compromised sockets without open flap. But this is the next step of my life, to write a book about maxillary tuberosity and its indications. It's gonna become very soon, probably next ROX event in Brazil. We are planning to launch this new book. It's all about the maxillary tuberosity, focus on the soft tissue as a donor site, soft tissue graft, and bone tissue graft in all the indications, all the scenarios that the dentist can face in their daily practice, in the management of healed sites and also compromised sockets. So that's my next step.
So we spoke with you about your clinic in Brazil, but let's speak a bit not about the technical sides and the recommendations, advantages and disadvantages of different techniques, but also let's speak about a bit the dentistry in Brazil in general. So what is your opinion about this? So what is necessary to do to improve it? And do you think it's good enough or not good enough, or there is a lot of things it's necessary to do to go to another one level? So what is your opinion about?
You're talking about the level of the Brazilian dentists.
Brazilian dentists.
I would say that the level of the dentistry itself in Brazil, it's improved a lot in the last 15 years, I think. And we have very well-known speakers, Brazilian guys worldwide. Nowadays, they are crossing the border, not giving lecture only in South America, but all around the globe. It's not only because they are very talented, but they develop something new. So this is one of the things that make you a little bit different. And the Brazilian dentistry nowadays is really good, really good. Not only about this top-level dentists, but the average of the dentists that can be treated very complex clinical case, talk about aesthetic, about surgery, about perio, about prosto. They improved a lot in the last 15 years. The dentistry in Brazil, we are in the best level in the history. So that's why nowadays we've been crossing the borders in order to teach another country how to deal with in many different specialties in dentistry. And I'm very happy, and probably the world is happy because we are not only to give a lecture, but we are exporting the technicians from Brazil to the globe, to the worldwide, to United States, to Europe, and many other countries, because the level of the technicians itself is quite high as well.
Let's speak about more this topic, but more wide. So, like, what do you think about the trends which are happening at the moment, where they're going to bring us in the future? So, what is going to be the next step about the dental surgery in upcoming, I don't know, 5-10 years? What is your opinion about this? Where we are going?
I have my humble opinion. When we talk about surgery and we talk about bone regeneration itself, I would say that the autogenous bone is coming back, but much stronger than it was before in the past, because in the past we used it to apply bone regeneration and to use this kind of graft, not only harvest bone from the tuberosity side, but from all other areas from the patient's mouth. And then, according to the literature, this kind of bone will resorb along the months and along the years. And now, according to the scientific community, we are proving that the autogenous bone is still the gold standard, and it's coming back as it was never done before, stronger than before. So that's why I'm so enthusiastic about this project, because we are changing the scientific community in order to keep an eye again in the donor side harvest from the patient's mouth.
Nice. Sounds really nice about this. What is your personal plan for upcoming 5 or 10 years? So do you have some ideas to realize what is your goals you're going to reach with this time frame?
So in the near future, as I said before, I'm going to launch the new book, but I am involved with many research in my town, in my country, and many other countries worldwide. That's my job nowadays, to focus only not to write a new book, to write the new papers, but to research as much as I can in order to prove to the scientific community that we are in the right path.
Good, really good. We spoke a lot with you about your professional life, about your clinic, about your technique, about your opinion, about future, about everything. Let's come back to some personal topics about this. You are professional, you are world-known dental surgeon, you are author of the IDR technique, but you are a person, and everybody has its own hobbies. And how do you prefer to spend your leisure time?
Talk about my leisure. I would prefer to stay with my family. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. I would prefer to play with my daughter. I love them. I love to be with them. So that's my hobby, to be with my family. Doesn't matter if I'm riding my bike, if I'm running with them, I'm doing something with them. So this is the perfect part of my life, to be with my family. This is why in the near future, I intend to be much more with them than it was before.
But you told us about the results, what you have at the moment. But to reach such a result, it's necessary to have some love story at the beginning. How did you meet your wife?
Oh, very nice, very nice, very good. I met her for the first time. I was visiting a very close friend of mine in another town, 1,000 kilometers from my town. And believe it or not, I met her and we started dating, and 1 year later we were married. That's the true story, and we are still married. And next week, to tell you the truth, next Monday, we are going to celebrate 30 years marriage. So that's why from here, from Moscow, I'm going to London to be with them a couple of days, and to enjoy my family and to celebrate all family together, 30 years marriage, 30 years with a very good relationship.
So we wish you all the best about this. I know Ariadne in person. She's a nice person, and I got just positive impressions from our connection, from our cooperation during your courses in Caxias do Sul. So I really miss her as a partner about these courses. So because last time we visited you, it was like 1 year ago. So for me, she also became a person, friend also, who was associated with my staying with all the groups in Caxias do Sul. So I would like to appreciate you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Because it was for you quite tough day and long day. We are both were tired, and so thank you very much to give all the questions I asked you. So we wish you a good time in Moscow. We wish you all the best in your future. That your plans are going to be realized, so.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me for this interview. I hope everybody like and enjoy the meeting from tomorrow, and the following day, and they will take as much advantage as possible about new principles, new concepts, because the scientific community will hear lots of new concepts, not only from my side, but from the other speaker side. And this is quite good when we are open-minded in order to see new concepts and to realize which way to go, which way I'm going to focus from now on. So thank you so much for the opportunity. I hope to see you soon.
Yes, of
Tomorrow
course.
morning.
There is no choice. There is no choice. So, José Carlos, this is. We have another one question to you. What will be your recommendation for young specialists when they are making these first baby steps, like to avoid to choose the proper way, accordingly to your experience?
According to my experience, what I would recommend for the beginners, try to use bone from the maxillary tuberosity, not for complex clinical case, but try to use this kind of graft for bone preservation, for socket preservation, only for bone reconstruction without putting the implant in place, or at the most, you can go one step ahead and to perform bone reconstruction and to put the implant in place and to close the flap, and to wait a couple of months later in order to uncover the implant and to make the provisional and the final restoration. That would be my advice for beginners, or at most to treat complex clinical cases like compromised socket when it's missing only the buccal bone wall. Don't go one step further. As soon as your learning curve grows like this, you can go one step ahead. That's my recommendation for beginners.
Thank you very much. Дорогие друзья, большое спасибо вам за просмотр данного интервью. Надеюсь, оно было содержательным, интересным, полезным для вас. Это было первое интервью с зарубежным лектором международного такого высокого уровня. Большое спасибо Артуру Карапетяну за то, что доверил мне такую ответственную роль интервьюировать такого известного специалиста, как José Carlos da Rosa. Это интервью было первым, но не последним. Оставайтесь обязательно с нами, дальше будет еще интереснее.
Please subscribe to Dental Podcast.